over fields of green, remembering the faces, the moments unseen, the hands that built a dynasty, the vision in their eyes, echoes in the auction barn beneath an endless sky. This is the bovine, turn the volume high, for the icons of the ages that never will die. From the show ring thunder to the quiet strength they knew, hear their stories now, coming right on through.
Welcome back to the Bovine Podcast. Today, we're sharing a story that really just stopped us in our tracks. We talk a lot about the $1 million cows, you know, the glitz of the colored shavings, the genomic giants that seem to just arrive fully formed.
Right.
But the story we found in the archives this week, it isn't about high prices at all. It's about a transaction that happened for pocket change.
You know, this is the kind of conversation that reminds you why you even got into dairy in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not just about the numbers or the ribbons. It's about the intuition, the gamble, and that gut feeling you get when you look at an animal, you see something that nobody else does.
We are diving deep into the legend of Snowboots Wis Milky Way.
Nice.
Now, if you're a student of the breed, that name is just, it's royalty.
Oh, absolutely.
But even if you know the name, the details of how she started are genuinely hard to believe.
It's a wild ride. I mean, we're talking about a cow that essentially started her life in a gunny sack on a wheat farm.
A literal gunny sack.
Yeah. And she ended up changing the entire genetic map of the Holstein breed forever.
So let's set the scene. I really want you to picture this vividly.
Okay.
It's the 1950s. We're on a back road in Kansas. It's dusty. It's hot. Just a typical Kansas summer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an old sedan driving down this washboard road. You can just imagine the suspension creaking. And in the back seat, there is a literal burlap gunny sack.
And for anyone listening who hasn't been around a farm for 50 years, a gunny sack is, it's scratchy, it smells like grain dust, and it is definitely not designed for livestock transport.
Not at all. And inside that sack, a calf. A living, breathing heifer calf.
A calf that costs $75.
$75. I looked this up. Even adjusted for inflation. We're not talking about a fortune here.
Not even close.
But in today's money, $75 might get you a couple of bags of high-end mineral.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
Or maybe half a ton of hay.
Hey.
If that.
Right.
Honestly, $75 today is a cull calf. It's a get this animal off my feed bill kind of price.
Yeah, exactly. But here's this calf, stuffed in a bag, bouncing around the back seat of a sedan. And the crazy part is, this calf, this little creature, would eventually score EX97.
EX97. That's a score, that is. It's almost a myth.
It's rarefied air. We really need to pause on that number later because you just don't see it.
You really don't. But the contrast is what gets me. I mean, you're the farmer here. What happens to most $75 calves?
Well, let's be real.
If I go to the sale barn today and I buy the cheapest calf in the ring, what is her future?
Most $75 calves, especially back then, they end up as beef.
Yeah. Or, best case scenario, they get forgotten in a commercial herd somewhere, milk for maybe 2 lactations, and then leave with 0 fanfare.
Right.
They certainly do not become the mother of a bull that sires 100 gold medal dams. That just doesn't happen. It's a statistical impossibility almost.
But that's why this is the ultimate Cinderella story of the dairy world. But it's not just a fairy tale, is it? It's actually a masterclass on value.
It really is. It's a lesson on what actually makes a cow valuable. You know, we get so caught up in the marketing and the show wins.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, Snowboots became a marketing icon.
Mm-hmm.
But her real value was her ability to pay the bills. She built a dynasty. She was the invisible profit maker long before she became the visible superstar.
So let's go back to the very, very beginning. The origin story. We are in Abilene, Kansas. The breeder. He wasn't exactly a big-time dairy mogul with a glossy catalog.
No, not at all. He was a wheat farmer. And that's a crucial distinction.
Why is that so important?
Because his main gig was wheat. His livelihood depended on the harvest, not the milk check.
Mm-hmm.
He had a few registered Holsteins on the side. So he wasn't looking at these cows with the same, high-stakes eye that a professional breeder would. He was looking at them practically. Does she milk? Is she trouble?
And the dam of our protagonist, a cow named Milky Way Judy Triune. Looking at the records, she was actually a really good cow, wasn't she?
Oh, she was excellent phenotypically. Scored EX92. She was sired by the most popular bull in the Kansas stud at the time.
Yeah.
Great udder texture, great potential, but she had a fatal flaw. And this is where the biology meets the labor reality of a farm.
Extremely short teats.
The bane of a dairyman's existence.
Yeah.
Especially in the 1950s.
The source material says she calved on Christmas Day, and because those teats were so short, she had to be hand-milked.
Can you just imagine that? It's Christmas morning. The kids are inside opening presents. There's probably cinnamon rolls in the oven. And you are out in the freezing cold barn hand-milking a fresh heifer because the machine cups literally will not stay on.
What a nightmare.
That is a headache. That's the kind of cow that, despite looking good, despite that EX92 score, makes you just want to sell her.
So the triune bloodline, also a common trait, the short teats.
It was known for high components and really strong attachments. But yeah, short teats for kind of the trade-off. It's always a trade-off in genetics, right?
Yeah.
You get that beautiful shallow udder, but sometimes you lose the teat length. And for wheat farmer who just wants to get the chores done, that's a deal breaker.
And that's exactly where the deal happens. Enter Jack Sexton of Jysal Farm.
Right.
He visits the farm with his friend, Ed Reed. They see this cow, the one with the short teats, and she's tagged at $250.
Which was a decent price for a good cow back then. It wasn't a steal. That was market value for a cow you knew you had to struggle with.
But Jack sees something else. He sees the calf at her side, a 2-month-old heifer.
And this is where that cow sense comes in. We talk about genomics today, right? Yeah. We look at a DNA printout to tell us if a calf is good. Jack Sexton didn't have that. He had his eyes. And he looks at this calf, and he sees what he called a long-necked heifer.
When you say long-necked, break that down for us. Is that just an aesthetic thing?
No, it's a huge indicator of dairy character. A long, clean neck usually correlates with a cow that's going to convert feed into milk instead of fat. It suggests angularity, sharpness, openness of rib. He saw a calf that just looked clean.
Okay.
He saw the influence of that triune breeding, the strength, but maybe packaged a little better than the monk. It's that intuition, you know. You see a calf and you don't quite know why, but her hair coat shines a little different. She holds her head a little higher. You just know she's special.
But the obstacle wasn't the price. It was the owner. The boy who owned the calf, the wheat farmer's son, he didn't want to sell. He wanted her for a 4-H project.
Right. So Jack does what any savvy cattleman does. He uses the practical argument. He looks at the boy and he says, look, kid, her mom has short teats. You know how hard she is to milk.
He went right for the weak spot.
He did. He said, this calf is probably going to have short teats too. You don't want that trouble for your project. You should sell.
It's the oldest trick in the book, focusing on the flaw to get the deal. It's borderline predatory, but also kind of practical advice.
It's negotiation 101. And honestly, it was a fair warning. Genetics are heritable. There was a very high chance she would have short teats. Jack was taking that risk. The boy wasn't.
So they struck a deal, $325 for the pair, $250 for the cow, and $75 for the calf.
$75.
Yeah.
It is just incredible to think about the return on investment on that $75. It might be the highest ROI in the history of the entire breed.
But the boy had one condition. He said, you can have her, but you have to name her Snowboots.
I love that. It's such a kid thing to do, isn't it? She had white feet, presumably. Snowboots. It's not a sophisticated name like Milky Way or Triune. It's a pet name. And Jack agreed.
So the deal's done. Jack takes the $75 calf, puts her in the gunny sack to keep the car clean.
Because you do not want manure in your nice city.
No, you do not. And he drives her home to Jysal Farm. No fanfare, just a sack on a back road.
You know, I think it's important to just pause here and reflect on the reality of buying cattle. Jack bought a problem, the short teats on the dam, to get a potential diamond in the rough.
Right.
That's a gamble every farmer makes. You weigh the headache against the potential. And in this case, that intuition to spot the long-necked calf that others might have missed, that's the difference between an average herd and a legendary one. Most people would have walked away because of the dam's milking speed. Jack walked toward the potential.
But here's the thing. It wasn't an instant success story. Snowboots didn't just hop out of that sack and start winning championships.
Oh, not at all.
This wasn't a movie montage where she wins the county fair the next day.
Far from it. And this is the part of the story I respect the most. The grind.
The source says her first show at a local district level, she placed 21st.
21st.
Out of 22.
Wow. That is humbling. That is a kick in the teeth. You buy this calf, you think you see something special, you drag her all the way to the show, clip her up, and the judge basically puts her at the bottom of the class, essentially says, thanks for coming, try again next year.
It really emphasizes the humility at the beginning.
What?
From 21st place to a national legend, it took time. Yeah. She spent 7.5 years at Giselle Farm. That's a long time.
It is. 7 years of milking twice a day, every single day.
And doing her job is the key phrase there.
Absolutely. In those 7 years, she wasn't a cover girl. She was a working cow. She calved, she bred back, she raised useful offspring. She wasn't the flashy superstar yet. She was just a good, solid cow in a working herd.
So what changes in a cow between age 2 and age 7? I mean, why did she go from 21st place to eventually being a champion?
Well, Holsteins, especially those old bloodlines like the Triunes and the Ormsbys, they were slow maturers. They needed time to drop their rib to widen out. Mm-hmm. Today, we breed for such early maturity heifers that look like cows at 12 months. Back then, a cow like Snowboots was like a fine wine. She just kept adding depth and strength with every lactation. She had to grow into her frame. It takes real patience to hold a cow like that. Most guys would have called that 21st place heifer. Jack kept her.
But then the turning point comes, and it comes in the form of a man named Dick Brooks from Paclamar Farm.
Now, Dick Brooks is a character we really need to unpack. This isn't just another farmer. This is a guy with a history of trading draft horses and milking cows in Ohio. He had this deep, almost rugged background in animal husbandry. He knew muscle, he knew bone.
And then he moves west to Colorado and partners with an oil man.
In the all-bidness, as they say. Yeah, the 1960s were a wild time for tax structures in agriculture, weren't they?
They were.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This was the era where wealthy industrialists, oil men, bankers, were pouring money into purebred cattle for tax write-offs and prestige. It fueled a massive acceleration in genetics.
So you have this partnership Paclamar Farm. It wasn't just a barn, it was an empire. A 12,240-acre facility, steel frame buildings. This was big business dairy before that was really the norm.
Yeah.
So Brooks has the backing of oil money, but he wasn't just a checkbook. He was a philosopher breeder.
He absolutely was. He wasn't just buying the most expensive cows. He was buying specific pieces of a puzzle he was building in his head. He loved Ormsby blood and Triune genetics. He was obsessed with line breeding, stacking those genetic traits to create a uniform herd. He wasn't just buying cows, he was building a masterpiece.
So in 1961, Brooks is at a regional show in Abilene. Snowboots is older now. She's matured. She's finally filled out that frame. And Brooks sees her.
That he sees that potential. He sees the Triune breeding he loves, the strength, the width, and he makes an offer. $2,500 plus a bull.
Okay, let's do the math again. Jack bought the pair for $325. He's now selling the cow alone for $2,500 plus a valuable bull.
Massive return.
It's a massive return. But this is where the story gets really emotional for me. The source mentions that Jack Sexton had a sleepless night after he got that offer.
Yeah.
So I have to stop you there. $2,500 in 1961 is the equivalent of a brand new car.
Easily.
Jack Sexton is a wheat farmer. Are we really saying he lost sleep just because he loved the cow? Or was he terrified he was selling a lottery ticket way too early?
That's the eternal question for a breeder, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's probably both. I don't think it was just about the money. I think it was the realization of what he had. He had watched her grow from that little calf in the sack into this magnificent animal. He knew she was special.
Right.
But he also knew his own limitations. He knew that Giselle Farm, while a great place, it wasn't Paclamar. He couldn't give her the national stage. He didn't have the marketing machine or the professional show string.
So it was an act of love to let her go, but also a very savvy business decision to cash in.
It really was. It's that bittersweet moment every breeder faces. Do I keep this incredible animal for myself, just to look at her every day and know she's mine? Or do I let her go to a place where she can prove herself to the whole world? Jack realized Paclamar could give her an opportunity he couldn't. And getting a herd sire in return, that definitely sweetened the deal.
So he sells her. Snowboots leaves Kansas and heads to the high plains of Colorado. And this is where the journey just really accelerates.
Life at Paclamar was different. This was the big leagues. We're talking about a facility where cows were treated like queens, but they were expected to perform like athletes. And when Snowboots walked into that barn, She wasn't the only star. She walked into a barn that housed Harborcrest Rose Milly.
The Milly cow. We have to talk about Milly.
The queen. Milly was the flashy show cow, all American. She was the one everyone talked about, the celebrity. She was refined, elegant, the supermodel of the breed.
And
Snowboots was the barn favorite. The crew loved her. She had a great disposition. She wasn't high-strung or difficult. She was the one you wanted to work with every day.
I love that contrast. Milly is the diva who needs the special attention, and Snowboots is the colleague you want to go have a beer with after work.
Exactly. But don't let that barn favorite title fool you.
Yeah.
Snowboots was an absolute grinder. Her stats at Paclamar are mind-blowing, especially for the 1960s.
Let's talk about those numbers, because I think modern listeners might just glaze over them if we don't put them in context. She produced over 200,000 pounds of lifetime milk.
Wow. Okay, let's break that down. 200,000 pounds. Today, in a modern freestall barn with TMR mixers, robotics, heat abatement, sand bedding, all of it, 200,000 pounds is a great achievement.
Right.
But in the 1960s, they were feeding dry hay, maybe some green chop and grain in the parlor. No computer balancing the ration every hour. To hit 200,000 pounds in that environment is just pure grit. It's biological efficiency at its finest.
She had records of 24,000 pounds of milk in a single lactation.
That was massive for that era. That's like a baseball player hitting 60 home runs before the steroid era. It's just natural ability.
And her fertility. This is something we struggle with so immensely in the breed today.
It is the #1 profit killer on dairies today. Cows that won't breed back. Snowboots calved in September 6 years in a row.
Like clockwork.
Like a Swiss watch. That means she had a perfect 12-month calving interval. She would calve, peak in milk, get bred on the first or second cervix, and do it all over again. That is the holy grail. A cow that milks heavy and breeds back instantly. That's where the profit is. Every month a cow is open past her voluntary waiting period, it costs the farmer money. Snowboots never cost them a dime.
So she's working hard at home, but she's also finally getting her moment in the spotlight. The peak moment comes at Waterloo in 1962, the National Dairy Cattle Congress.
That was the Super Bowl of dairy shows at the time.
Yeah.
You know, Madison wasn't the behemoth it is now. Waterloo was the place.
And in the aged cow class, Snowboots and Milly are both in the ring.
Can you just imagine the tension? You have two cows from the same farm, owned by the same man, competing for the top spot. It's like having two heavyweights from the same gym fighting for the world title.
And the result.
Snowboots takes first. Milly takes second.
And then for the championship.
Grand champion goes to Snowboots.
Yeah.
Reserve grand goes to Milly.
That's historic.
It was the first time in history that one farm took both grand and reserve females at the national show. It was a complete domination by Paclamar. It proved that Dick Brooks wasn't just some eccentric with oil money. He was a genius. He had assembled the two best cows in the world.
I love the detail in the source about the classification score, too. She eventually scored EX97.
EX97.
And the source describes the silence in the barn when the classifier announced that score.
It's a reference. You have to understand, classification is subjective. But EX97 is basically saying God could not have made this cow any better. When a classifier gives that score, everyone just stops. It's almost a spiritual moment for a cattleman. It validates everything Jack Sexton saw in that Gunny sack. It validates everything Dick Brooks saw at that regional show. She was, for all intents and purposes, perfect.
So she's achieved perfection in the ring. She's a production machine in the barn. But Dick Brooks wasn't done. He wanted to secure her legacy. And this leads us to the breakthrough. The genetic gamble.
This is my favorite part of the story because it shows the difference between a multiplier, someone who just breeds good cows to good bulls, and a true breeder. Brooks wanted a herd sire out of Snowboots. He wanted to bottle that magic.
But he had a very specific vision, right? He didn't just want the popular bull of the day.
No. He wanted that triune blood. Remember, that's the Kansas genetics she came from, the strength, the width. But by the early 60s, all the proven bulls with that bloodline were dead or gone. Frozen semen wasn't widely available from those old bulls yet. He was stuck.
So he couldn't just open a catalog and pick a proven winner with high reliability like we do today?
No way. He had to take a risk, a massive risk. He chose a bull named Skyway Vala Vista Double.
And Double was unproven.
Completely unproven. He was a 2-year-old bull. He had 0 daughters in milk. No data, no proof, nothing.
Let's just pause on that. He took one of the two best cows in the entire world, an EX97 Grand Champion, and bred her to a bull that nobody knew anything about performance-wise.
It sounds completely insane by modern standards. Today, we look at genomic numbers, we look at reliability. If a bull doesn't have data, most top breeders won't touch him for a contract mating. But Brooks used gut instinct and pedigree knowledge.
What did he see in that unproven bull?
He knew the bloodlines. He knew the Bulls family, the Ike family. He knew that line produced flat bones, which means quality in the leg structure, and high, wide rear udders. He was trying to correct specific things. He wasn't just breeding for numbers, he was breeding for type. He trusted his eye over the data that he didn't have. He was basically betting the farm on his understanding of anatomy.
It was a gamble on biology, not statistics.
Exactly. And the result of that gamble was born on September 22, 1963. A bull calf named Paclamar Bootmaker.
Bootmaker, a name that just echoes through history.
If you look at pedigrees today, you still see his influence everywhere. But at the time, he was just another calf.
And the drama continues. In 1967, Paclamar has a dispersal sale. But it wasn't a normal sale. Brooks used a pairing strategy.
This is just brilliant. This is where the business acumen really comes in. He wanted to sell cattle, but keep his best genetics. So he paired animals. The highest bidder got to pick one animal from the pair, and Brooks got to keep the other. It's like a draft.
So he pairs Milly the All-American, the queen, with Bootmaker, the young bull out of Snowboots.
Think about those stakes. He's risking losing his foundation cow or his future herd sire. He's forcing the buyers to decide what is worth more, the proven past, which is Milly, or the potential future, which is Bootmaker.
The bidding goes all the way up to $80,000.
Which is a fortune in 1967. We're talking $500,000 or more in today's buying power.
Yeah.
A syndicate wins the bid. And they have to choose. Do they take the proven show cow, Milly, or do they take the young bull, Bootmaker?
And they took the bull.
They took Bootmaker. And Brooks got to keep Milly. It was exactly what he wanted. He kept the cow he loved, and the bull went off to an AI stud to become a legend. He engineered that sale perfectly.
It's like high-stakes poker, but with cattle.
It really is. But it shows how much faith the industry was starting to have in that Snowboots line. They picked her son over the All-American Milly. That says everything.
So Bootmaker goes out into the world. Let's talk about the ripple effect. Because initially it wasn't a slam dunk, was it?
No. The early Bootmaker daughters, they were plain. They scared the experts. They didn't look like show winners as heifers.
Yeah.
They were shallow, maybe a little gangly.
That must have been terrifying for the syndicate that just paid $80,000.
Oh, I'm sure there was some serious buyer's remorse early on. I'm sure there were some angry phone calls. But then they matured. And that's that Snowboots trait coming through again. Just like Snowboots needed 7 years to reach her peak, the Bootmaker daughters got better with age. They dropped their ribs, they widened out, they started milking like fire hoses.
And the stat that defines Bootmaker.
He became the first bull in history to sire 100 gold medal dams.
Explain gold medal dam for the listeners who might not know the criteria.
The gold medal dam isn't just a pretty cow. To earn that, a cow has to meet really strict criteria for both production high milk, fat, and protein in classification score. And she has to produce offspring that do the same. It's a measure of transmitting ability. For a bull to sire 100 of them, it means he wasn't just siring pretty cows, he was siring cows that worked hard, looked good, and passed it on. He was making brood cows, practical cows that lasted.
And while her son was conquering the world, Snowboots' own story came to a very quiet end.
It did. The source describes it beautifully. You know, she wasn't sent to slaughter. She wasn't put down because she couldn't get up. She was just found dead in her box stall at Paclamar. Her head was resting on her side like she was just asleep.
She was 14 years old.
And she was pregnant with her 11th calf.
That just speaks to her vitality right to the very end.
Absolutely. She didn't fade away. She didn't break down. She just stopped. Her heart just gave out.
Dick Brooks gave a eulogy for her. He said, "The cow you could breed to anything, everyone's favorite."
And that's the highest praise a breeder can give. The cow you could breed to anything. It means she was so genetically dominant, so structurally correct, that she fixed the flaws of any bull you used on her. You didn't have to protect her. She did the work.
So, connecting this to the modern day, we're sitting here in 2026. The industry has changed so much. We have genomics, we have sex semen, we have IVF. Why does the story of Snowboots still matter to the farmer listening right now?
It matters because the industry is struggling with the exact things Snowboots excelled at: fertility and longevity. We've spent 40 years breeding for extreme angularity and milk speed, and we lost some of that toughness. We have cows that milk like crazy but burn out after 2 lactations. We have heifers that are hard to get bred. Snowboots is the blueprint we are trying to get back to.
She's the proof that you don't have to sacrifice production for durability.
Exactly. And her descendants prove it too. Bulls like Astronaut, Starbuck, Rudolph, these are giants of the breed. They all trace back to the decisions made around this one cow. When you see a cow today that has that perfect blend of strength and dairiness, that will to live and will to work, there's a good chance you're seeing a little bit of Snowboots coming through. She put the strength back into the Holstein breed when it was getting too frail.
It's just amazing to think that a decision made on a wheat farm in Kansas to put a $75 calf in a Gunny sack because her mom had short teats is still affecting the milk that's in our fridge today.
It's the butterfly effect, or I guess the Snowboots effect. It's a reminder that genetics is a long game. Decisions you make today can ripple out for 50 years.
All right, let's wrap this up with our takeaways. Someone's listening to this on their tractor right now. Maybe they're looking at a pen of their own calves. What is the one thing from this story they should sit with?
I think it's the definition of a brood cow versus a show cow. We all love the ribbons. We all love the flashy win at Madison. But ribbons fade. They gather dust on the mantle.
Right.
A true brood cow, a cow like Snowboots, she breeds back. Yeah. She milks 200,000 pounds. She passes those traits on. That is what builds a farm. That is what pays the mortgage at the end of the day.
And maybe, just maybe, keep an eye out for the ugly duckling.
Absolutely. Don't overlook the gunny sack calves. Sometimes the rough start or the calf that looks a little different holds the best genetics. Trust your eye. Trust your intuition. And value that old-fashioned durability. In a high-speed genomic world, a cow that lasts for 14 years is worth her weight in gold.
That's a powerful thought. The invisible profit maker might be standing right in front of you, disguised in a $75 package.
She just might be.
That's another story from the Bovine podcast. These are the people and the cows building the future of dairy.
And if you want to see pictures of Snowboots, and you really should, just to see that depth of rib we talked about, head over to www.thebulvine.com.
Find more at www.thebulvine.com. Next time, we're talking to a breeder who bet the farm on a red cow when black and white was the only game in town. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
This is the bovine, turn the volume high. For the icons of the ages that never will die. From the show ring thunder to the quiet strength they knew. Hear their stories now, coming right on through. Oh, tell the tale, the bovine legends live.